Hey everyone, Kyle Mike here from MLive.com. Joined by Justin Rogers. We're at TCF Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, where the Lions have just won 17-3 convincingly against the Vikings. Justin, 8 is the number that stands out to me. 8 sacks of Teddy Bridgewater. It was a phenomenal performance once again from the Lions defense, top ranked throughout most of the year in the NFL in total defense, and they proved it today. Why they are so good, so much pressure on Teddy Bridgewater.
I mentioned on Twitter, it's like I keep expecting this defense to revert to the defense that we've seen for years and years and years. And at some point, I'm just going to have to acknowledge that this is a good defense. And it's good on all three levels. It wasn't just the sacks. Linebackers played well. The secondary, I mean, you can't always see it on television, but there was no openings in the intermediate and deep routes for the first three quarters. That allows the defensive line to get home. And so there's a reason they had success both with the interior rushers and the outside edge rushers.
Listen, Teddy Bridgewater is a rookie, so you expect him to make mistakes. But the Lions did what they had to, which was to force Teddy Bridgewater into making mistakes, and you can't take that away from them. They went on the road and they throttled the team. And the offense has its problems. The kicking game still has its problems for sure. We'll get into that stuff. But this is a defense capable of winning games. They've played 2 divisional games now against the Packers and Vikings. 10 points allowed by the defense. 10 points combined.
Yeah.
That you can't say enough about what they're doing defensively.
Yeah, and listen, this is a team with Bridgewater under center that put 42 points up on the Falcons a couple weeks ago. The Falcons, I don't know if they do play defense. If they do, they don't play it well. But, it just shows you the stark contrast between how well the Lions are playing, maybe how poorly the Falcons are playing when we go to England at that point. But it's just amazing. I really didn't expect the Lions to win this game. I put that out there. I thought Bridgewater was versatile enough to give the defense fits similar to the way Cam Newton and the Panthers did. The offense was about as what I expected. Still struggled without Calvin Johnson and Reggie Bush. Did enough to win, but the defense is good. I'm saying it. Defense is good.
Yeah, I think the defensive line is one of the best in the NFL. Maybe it's playing the best. Nick Fairley told me after the game he thinks this could be a historically great defense. That might be taking an extra leap, but I think it's safe to say at this point this is an excellent defense this year. And for me, like you mentioned, the linebackers are playing well. You have DeAndre Levy, Tahir Whitehead coming up with 2 important picks today against the Vikings. The secondary has played well. But for me, it all starts up front. Those guys are playing spectacularly well. Ezekiel Ansah, 2.5 sacks to lead the way. He had the sack fumble early in the game, which was kind of a turning point, I thought, in momentum of Teddy Bridgewater. 2 more sacks from Ndamukong Suh. He becomes the all-time sack leader among defensive tackles in team history. On and on down the line. 7 Lions players contributed to a sack today. I don't think I've ever seen something like it.
I think Karan Reed got in on one.
Yeah, he did.
No, it was an important matchup for Ansah. I thought he was kind of a piece that was lagging behind in production so far this season. Got a very favorable matchup in Matt Khalil, who's struggled. I guess the thing that surprised me most is I didn't expect the Vikings to hold on to the ball very long. They'd gotten rid of the ball very quickly all season long, and that's where I go to the secondary, and I say the secondary took away that stuff, forced Bridgewater to hold on, and the defensive line didn't need a lot of time. I mean, they were very impressive. You can't take away, but they were giving them that extra quarter second, half second by the secondary that just made the whole defense come together. And again, here we're saying it week after week, but credit Terrell Austin for coming up with the right game plan, putting his players in the right position for them to succeed.
Incredible game from the defense, and yet it was still a 2-score game in the end, Justin, and that's because of some of the problems we've seen on offense and special teams, and the Lions tried to sidestep some of those things in the post-game just because they were feeling so good about where the defense is. At the same time, this is a 2-4 Vikings team. You completely dominated them on one side of the ball, and you weren't able to put them away really until late. You need more out of the offense. Matthew Stafford, 4 more sacks today. No one really, and they were without Calvin Johnson today.
Yep.
So that's key, and you can't look past that because this offense has never really played that well without him. But still, some of these issues that we have seen with protections, especially and miscommunications from the offensive line today. A couple of guys coming unblocked right through the A gap. But these are things that have happened all year long, and these are things that need to be corrected going forward.
Yeah, 2 good things from the offense today. I mean, looking at the positive side of it is, one, they didn't turn the ball over. Stafford took a lot of hits, was forced to throw some away, and a lot of times those are what turns into turnovers. When you're feeling that pressure, you either get the hit and you fumble the ball, or you make a bad pass. Didn't throw any turnovers, or didn't have any turnovers, didn't really come close to any, so that was important. And 2, when they needed to seal the win, they were able to run the ball. The offensive line has not done a very consistent job opening run lanes up for maybe some stretches at the end of games early in the season. I thought this was their best performance, quarter 1 to quarter 4. The third quarter in particular was very impressive. Bell had something like 50 yards in that quarter, and that was the majority of that 14-play touchdown drive that really sealed the win took place at the end of the third, and it was really behind great play from the offensive line.
Reggie Bush didn't play in this game because of an ankle injury. He told us after the game that he 100% expects to play next week, but at the same time they were without their starter this week. And I like what they did, kind of combining Joique Bell and Theo Riddick together to form Reggie Bush. You know, Joique, you mentioned what he did in the third quarter, 40-some-odd yards in the third, and was instrumental in that long touchdown drive, which he capped off with a 1-yard dive. And then Theo Riddick did it through the air, 75 yards through the air on 5 catches. He actually had the most receiving yards for the Lions on a day without Calvin Johnson, and had some important contributions, including on that first drive, that touchdown drive where he busted out for was it 41 yards. And you know, the yards after catch is what you see, but even catching that ball, it was not a very good pass by Matthew Stafford. That's a pass I'm not sure if Reggie Bush gets. He doesn't exactly have the best hands. Stafford really needs to put it in there for Bush to get it. Threw a high pass to Riddick. He caught it, took off for 41 yards, and set up that first touchdown, which was huge for an offense that would go on to struggle significantly throughout the rest of the first half.
I asked a few guys about that screen pass play because the screen game has been kind of abysmal to go, and they said it was a big part of the game plan was to hit that play early. Riddick credits Stafford for waiting a little longer, letting the play develop. Yeah, the pass wasn't great, but it was more because he was waiting for things to develop in front of him that forced an awkward angle. And obviously the offensive line got in front of it, and Dominic Raiola had a really great block at the end of that. And Riddick says there's nothing that makes him smile more than when you got a big guy way out in front of you on a screen pass because you know they're busting their butt and you're going to be able to reward them.
Yeah. Offense, defense, now special teams, and it was coming. The Lions thought they had solved their kicker issues when they signed Matt Prater. Of course, anything and everything that can go wrong in a kicking game has gone wrong for the Lions this year. 5 of 15 now on the season after going just 1 of 3 today with Matt Prater. And let's be fair to him. Both of his misses were tough attempts. The winds were swirling here. TCF Bank is outdoors, in case you haven't noticed, right behind us. This is not at the Metrodome, and so there was a lot of conditions to deal with. I think they announced 17 miles per hour wind when the game started, but they were swirling throughout the game. Different flags were doing different things throughout the park, and we could even see flags just beyond the stands in the end zone where Prater missed those 2 attempts, and they were doing weird things too. And so not easy kicks. He missed from 44 and from 50, but at the same time, he's an NFL kicker. He's brought in here for a reason, because he was 25 of 26 last year. Then he misses more than that 1 kick in a half-hour span today, and it speaks to the Lions' kicker ills. And they do hope long-term that they have that he can still get the job done. Caldwell says he has confidence in him, but at the same time, you can't like what you see 1 of 3 from Prater in his opener.
He had all the excuses in the world, I guess, in terms of rust, just a chaotic month and a half for him with the suspension and the rehab. A unique stadium conditions. A lot of these people don't realize the special teams coaches have whole books dedicated to wind patterns in stadiums, and this one just isn't. Scouted.
There's no
by
book on it.
Yeah. So, and Prater didn't want to hear any of that. He said, if I'm sent out there, I'm expected to make it. I've got to be better. The Lions aren't abandoning this. This is at least a few more week solution, unless it continues to implode. But they express confidence in him, and I think I saw confidence in him in the locker room that he'll get it worked out.
That's one thing I've liked about Prater since he came to the Lions, is that he's been very out and open and in front of all of his problems, whatever they are. He's taken accountability. He hasn't made excuses. He came here and he didn't downplay the issues he's dealt with off the field. He said, I'm in a 12-step program, and it was voluntary, and I have a problem, and I'm getting under control, and I'm thankful for the second chance. And today, after the game, he was with reporters and with you. Again, he was accountable for the mistakes he had. So I think you have to like his headspace and just handling himself as a professional. He hasn't made any kind of excuses, and I like that a lot. It's a marked difference from Nate Freese at the beginning of the year, who came in as a rookie, didn't really know how to handle himself. He was extremely shy, and when he did talk about stuff, it was always the rhythm of the snap or the hold is what our problems are. It's I'm kicking the ball fine, all that kind of stuff. Kind of making a lot of excuses, and it came across as I don't really know what's wrong. And with Prater, you don't get that. He knows what's wrong with him, and he intends to fix it because he's done it before and he knows how to do it.
Well, next week's at home. It's in a dome. There's less excuses for conditions. All the nerves should be off. The rust should pretty much be knocked off. So it's time to get this thing on track.
On the other hand, there's hometown fans as well, and they're going to get a little more noisy than this crowd if Prater does come out and misses another kick or
Right.
two. The pressure's certainly on, and you have to expect he'd handle it well because he's done it before. So we got impressive win from the Lions, at least in terms of the defense, but certainly some things to work on as they head back home to prepare for now a pretty important Saints game at 4-2 and still a share of the NFC North lead.
Sure.
For Justin Rogers, I'm Kyle Meinke. We are MLive. Keep it right here.